Chosen one, wealth is coming. I repeat, wealth is coming. Chosen one, you are not here by accident. This moment was arranged by heaven with precision. What you are hearing right now is not random content. It is a divine appointment, a signal that you are standing at the edge of something supernatural. I see you. You have worked hard, spoken little, and yet no one listened. You carried ideas others ignored. You knew deep inside that you were not ordinary, but you lacked the power, the platform, the proof to make them believe. You have been overlooked in conversations, dismissed because you didn't have money, labeled a dreamer, told you were unrealistic, told to be quiet and stay in your place. And still you endured, not because you were weak, but because you were being prepared. Chosen one, this is not just about money. Wealth is coming as restoration, as authority, as alignment. Heaven has seen your effort. God has counted every silent sacrifice. And now you are approaching a moment of sudden elevation. Just as it is written, the vision waits for its appointed time, but it will surely come. But hear this carefully. When wealth comes, silence must become your protection. You were silent when you had nothing, and you will remain silent when you have everything. Stay with me. What you are about to hear will prepare you for what is coming and protect what heaven is releasing. Subscribe now so we stay connected, and comment 777 as agreement, not for performance, but as confirmation that you will listen until the end and allow God's wisdom to settle deep into your spirit. Chosen one, hear this carefully. Sudden wealth does not arrive as a reward for intelligence alone, nor as proof that someone is better than others. More often it arrives without warning, before the soul has fully adjusted to carrying weight. I have watched people step into abundance too quickly and crumble under the pressure of attention, expectation, and noise. Heaven does not release increase casually, and when it does, it watches closely to see how you carry it. When wealth comes, the first test is not how much you make, but how loudly you announce it. There is a temptation to speak too soon, to prove something to people who once doubted you, to finally be seen by those who overlooked you. I understand that urge. I felt it myself. After years of being ignored, there is a voice inside that wants to say, "Look at me now." But Chosen One revelation taught me this: the loudest season often comes right before the greatest loss. Silence is not weakness. Silence is wisdom. There are moments when God hides you, not because you are unworthy, but because what you carry is valuable. Just as seeds grow best underground, wealth grows safest in privacy. I have seen people confuse kindness with wisdom, generosity with obedience. They gave too much too fast to too many people who were never assigned to steward their blessing. Their hearts were good, but their discernment was undeveloped, and the cost was heavier than money alone. Families fractured, peace evaporated, purpose blurred. Chosen one, when heaven elevates you, it does not send an announcement to your entire circle. It sends instruction to your spirit. The moment wealth touches your hands, new eyes begin watching you. Some with curiosity, some with expectation, some with hidden resentment. Money does not change people. It reveals what was already inside them. I learned that the hard way. The same smile that once cheered for you can quietly turn into entitlement when they believe you now owe them access. This is why privacy becomes sacred ground. Not secrecy rooted in fear, but discretion rooted in clarity. There are seasons where God says, "Tell no one." Even miracles were often followed by silence before they were revealed. Not every blessing is meant to be public. Not every increase is meant to be explained. Silence protects timing. Silence protects relationships. Silence protects your mind from being pulled in 100 directions by voices that were never qualified to advise you. I want to speak plainly to you, chosen one. When people sense that you have access to resources, they do not only come with needs, they come with ideas, expectations, plans, and pressure. Some will believe your money belongs to the group because they remember you from before. Others will minimize your discipline and say you were just lucky. And if you are not anchored, you will start making decisions from guilt instead of guidance. The fastest way I have seen relationships collapse is through unwise financial access. Lending money blurs boundaries. It shifts power. It changes dynamics in ways people rarely recover from. I had to learn that helping does not always mean handing over cash. Sometimes helping is saying no and allowing people to grow. That decision felt cruel at first, but it preserved more peace than I ever expected. Boundaries are not rejection, they are protection. Another trap appears when wealth removes urgency from your life. When you no longer have to work, boredom creeps in quietly, and boredom with money is dangerous. I have seen people rush into businesses they did not understand, investments they did not research, and lifestyles they could not sustain. Not because they were foolish, but because they lost structure. Work is not just about income, it is about rhythm, purpose, grounding. When you stop working entirely, your mind turns inward and spending becomes entertainment. Chosen one, hear this wisdom: normalcy is a shield. Keeping parts of your life steady gives your spirit time to adjust, to increase. There is a reason the vision waits for its appointed time. Wealth is not just an addition to your life, it is a change in environment. And environments require adaptation. Those who rush to transform everything at once often destabilize themselves without realizing it. Debt is another silent thief. I know the thought comes, I am rich now, why worry about old obligations? But high-interest debt eats silently. It drains energy and clarity. Clearing it is not about fear, it is about freedom. Paying it off is like removing weight from your soul. Once that weight is gone, decisions become clearer and peace returns quickly. It is one of the most overlooked acts of wisdom when abundance arrives. Chosen one, wealth is not meant to be consumed, it is meant to be stewarded. Those who remain free understand this principle deeply. Never destroy the source to enjoy the outcome. True freedom is not luxury, it is choice. It is waking up without being forced into environments that drain your spirit. I reached a point where I realized money was not about owning more things. It was about owning my time, my energy, and my peace. This is why heaven teaches patience before visibility, structure before expansion, and silence before celebration. You were trained in lack, so you would not be corrupted by abundance. You were overlooked, so you would not become addicted to applause. You learned restraint long before you ever touched increase. And now, chosen one, you stand at the threshold. What is coming requires maturity, not noise. Discernment, not announcement. Stillness, not spectacle. This is not the season to prove anything. This is the season to protect everything. Chosen one, I want you to understand this at a deeper level now. When heaven begins to shift your financial atmosphere, the first thing that changes is not your bank account, it is your perception. Suddenly you notice patterns you once ignored. You sense tension in conversations that used to feel light. You feel a quiet pull to step back, to observe instead of explain. That is not paranoia. That is discernment waking up. There is a reason God does not reveal everything at once. Sudden wealth carries spiritual weight. It amplifies what is already present in your life. If there is confusion, it becomes louder. If there is insecurity, it surfaces faster. And if there is wisdom, it begins to speak more clearly than ever before. I remember the first season when increase came my way. Nothing dramatic on the outside, but internally, everything shifted. I became more aware of how easily energy leaks when you talk too much to the wrong people. Chosen one. Not everyone who claps for you is celebrating your destiny. Some are measuring what they can access. Others are quietly calculating how close they need to stay. And some, without even realizing it, begin to feel small in your presence. This is why silence is not punishment, it is filtration. When you speak less, you give people space to reveal themselves. You were trained in seasons where your voice carried no authority. People talked over you, interrupted you, dismissed your ideas. At the time it felt unfair, but now you can see the wisdom in it. God was teaching you how to be comfortable without validation, how to hold truth without needing agreement. That training becomes priceless when wealth arrives, because money attracts opinions the same way light attracts insects. I have seen this happen repeatedly. The moment someone senses you have resources, they come with advice they never earned the right to give. They tell you where to invest, what to buy, how to live, who to support. And if you are not anchored, you begin to doubt your own instincts. Silence protects your inner authority. It keeps your decisions aligned with wisdom instead of noise. Chosen one. There is a difference between generosity and access. Heaven loves a generous heart, but it never commands open gates without discernment. Even sacred spaces had veils. Even kings had inner courts. Not everyone is meant to walk with you into your next level. Some were assigned to the old version of you, the struggling version, the accessible version. When you elevate, roles shift, and that shift can feel uncomfortable if you do not understand it. I had to learn that saying no does not make you cold, it makes you clear. There were moments when I gave out of habit, not guidance. I helped because I remembered what it felt like to lack. But over time I noticed something subtle. The more I rescued people financially, the less responsibility they took for their own growth. My silence eventually taught them more than my money ever could. That realization changed the way I stewarded both relationships and resources. Chosen one wealth also tests your identity. For years, your value was measured by how much you endured, how much you sacrificed, how much you gave without receiving. When abundance comes, there is a temptation to replace suffering with spending, to prove that the pain meant something. But the truth is, your pain already served its purpose. You do not need to justify it with purchases or displays. Real wealth is quiet confidence. It is knowing you can walk away from situations that drain you. It is choosing peace over proving a point. It is understanding that freedom is not about what you own, but what no longer owns you. I reached a moment where I realized I did not want more attention. I wanted more clarity, and clarity only comes when you reduce noise. There is also a season where God asks you to keep your routines normal even when your resources are not. That is not denial, that is grounding. Stability keeps your nervous system regulated. It prevents impulsive decisions that feel exciting in the moment but destructive in the long term. I have watched people dismantle their lives trying to upgrade everything at once. New house, new car, new lifestyle, new circle. And within a short time, the pressure becomes unbearable. Chosen one. Wisdom moves slowly even when money moves fast. There is power in waiting. There is strength in processing. There is safety in letting your spirit catch up with your circumstances. Debt obligations, unfinished responsibilities from your old life do not disappear just because money arrives. Clearing them intentionally creates space for peace. It is not about fear, it is about alignment. Another truth you must hear is this: boredom is one of the most dangerous emotions for someone with resources. When the struggle disappears, the mind searches for stimulation. and without purpose spending becomes a substitute for meaning. This is why staying engaged, staying productive, staying connected to something that challenges you is essential. Work, in this sense, is not punishment, it is preservation. Chosen one. I am not speaking theory to you. I am speaking from observation, from mistakes, from seasons where I had to unlearn what culture taught me about success. Money does not fix identity, it exposes it. If your sense of self is not rooted, wealth will pull you in directions you never intended to go. Silence helps you hear yourself again. There is also a spiritual law at work here. The closer you get to breakthrough, the fewer people can walk with you. Not because you are better, but because the altitude changes, pressure changes, expectations change. This is why Jesus often withdrew after miracles, not to hide, but to realign, not to reject people, but to protect timing. Chosen one. This is not the season to explain your moves. It is the season to move correctly. You do not owe anyone a preview of what God is building in private. Some things grow best when they are unseen. Some victories are strongest when they are revealed only after they are secured. You were silent when you had nothing because no one listened. Now you will be silent because you understand. There is a difference. One silence was imposed. This silence is chosen, and it carries authority. As wealth approaches your life, let stillness become your companion. Let discernment guide your conversations. Let wisdom determine who gets access, who gets information, and who stays at a distance. You are not withdrawing from love. You are positioning yourself for longevity. Chosen one, what is coming is real, and it requires maturity, not excitement, not announcement, but stewardship. Silence is not hiding your blessing. Silence is how you keep it. Chosen one. There is another layer you must understand as wealth draws nearer, and it is one most people never see until it costs them deeply. When resources increase, spiritual pressure increases with it. Not because God is testing you out of cruelty, but because expansion always attracts attention in realms both seen and unseen. This is why silence is not only practical wisdom, it is spiritual armor. There is a moment that comes right before elevation where old voices return. People who once dismissed you suddenly remember you. Conversations reopen, invitations appear. Compliments feel warmer than before. At first it feels like validation, but discernment will tell you something else is happening. Your season is shifting and access is being renegotiated. Silence allows you to observe without committing. It gives you time to sense whether the reconnection is aligned or opportunistic. Chosen one. Not everyone who supported you in survival is meant to walk with you in abundance. Some people were assigned to teach you endurance, not stewardship. Others were placed in your life to show you what loyalty looks like when there is nothing to gain. Wealth changes the terms of every relationship, whether people admit it or not. And if you do not manage that shift carefully, confusion will enter quietly. I remember a season when my circumstances began to change, and suddenly I felt pressure to explain myself. Why I made certain choices, why I was unavailable, why I no longer tolerated certain behaviors. At first I tried to justify it. I thought clarity would preserve peace, but instead it invited debate. Silence would have preserved far more. Explanation often invites entitlement. Stillness preserves authority. Chosen one. You do not owe people access to your growth process. You do not owe them a breakdown of your plans. You do not owe them transparency about what God is building in you. Even Joseph did not share his full destiny without consequence. Dreams spoken too early can attract misunderstanding, jealousy, and resistance. Timing matters more than truth in seasons of transition. Another truth that must be spoken plainly is this: wealth reveals motives not just in others, but in you. There will be moments when you feel tempted to rescue people simply to avoid discomfort. Moments when saying yes feels easier than holding boundaries. Moments when generosity is motivated by guilt instead of guidance. Silence helps you separate compassion from compulsion. I had to learn that some people do not want help. They want relief without responsibility. And when money becomes the relief, growth stops. That does not make you harsh for stepping back. It makes you wise. True help empowers. It does not replace effort. When you remain quiet and measured, you allow people to meet God in their own process, instead of leaning on your provision. Chosen one. There is also the matter of spiritual alignment. Wealth is not neutral energy. It amplifies whatever system it enters. If your inner life is chaotic, money will accelerate that chaos. If your inner life is grounded, money will become a tool for stability and impact. This is why solitude often increases before major breakthroughs. God uses quiet to recalibrate your inner world. You may notice that your tolerance for noise decreases. Certain conversations feel draining. Certain environments feel heavy. This is not arrogance. It is sensitivity increasing. Just as your ears adjust to silence after loud sound, your spirit begins to reject unnecessary stimulation. Silence becomes nourishment. It restores clarity and strengthens discernment. There is also a hidden protection in keeping your lifestyle modest, even when your capacity grows. Not because you fear judgment, but because extravagance can attract the wrong kind of attention before your foundation is ready. I have seen people announce their success through purchases only to invite pressure they were not prepared to manage. Security is not just physical, it is psychological, emotional, spiritual. Chosen one, you are being invited into a different rhythm. One where decisions are slower, reactions are measured, and responses are intentional. The world celebrates immediacy. Heaven honors preparation. This is why the vision waits for its appointed time. Rushing revelation can collapse what patience would have preserved. Another layer of silence is internal. As wealth approaches, your inner dialogue must change. Fear-based thinking must be dismantled. Scarcity patterns must be unlearned. Silence helps you hear what beliefs are still operating beneath the surface. It shows you where healing is still needed. Without quiet, those patterns hide until they surface through behavior. I want you to hear this clearly, chosen one. You are not being called to isolation. You are being called to selectivity. There is a difference. Isolation is rooted in fear. Selectivity is rooted in wisdom. Jesus had crowds, disciples, and an inner circle. Access was layered, not equal. Wealth requires the same structure. There will be people who accuse you of changing. Let them. Growth always looks like betrayal to those who benefited from your lack of boundaries. You are not required to stay small to remain familiar. You are not required to remain accessible to remain kind. Silence gives you space to grow without constant negotiation. I remember realizing that the more I explained myself, the less respected I felt. When I stopped explaining, clarity returned. Authority does not announce itself. It is recognized. The same will happen for you. As you become quieter, your presence will speak louder. People will feel the shift without needing a statement. Chosen one. Wealth is approaching your life not as a trophy, but as a responsibility. It will require discipline, discernment, and detachment from old validation systems. Applause will become irrelevant. Alignment will become everything. Silence supports that transition. You were overlooked when you spoke because people could not hear what you carried. Now you will be heard, even when you say nothing. That is the difference elevation makes. Let your actions be consistent. Let your life speak. Let your boundaries teach. There is a moment coming when you will look back and realize how necessary this quiet season was, how many distractions were avoided, how many conflicts never materialized, how much peace was preserved because you chose stillness over reaction. Silence did not delay your blessing, it protected it. Chosen one. This is not about hiding from the world. It is about standing firmly within yourself. It is about allowing wealth to enter a life that is already ordered, already grounded, already aligned. The louder the world becomes, the more valuable your stillness will be. Stay centered, stay discerning, stay quiet where needed. What is coming does not require announcement. It requires stewardship, and silence will remain your protection. Chosen one. There is a sacred shift that happens when wealth is no longer a distant hope, but an approaching reality. At this stage, the battle is not external, it is internal. The noise is no longer coming from people alone, but from the voice inside you that remembers lack, fear, and survival. Silence is not only how you manage the world, it is how you retrain your mind. For a long time, your thoughts were shaped by urgency, bills, deadlines, pressure. You learned to move quickly because you had to. That survival reflex kept you alive, but it cannot govern you in the season you are entering. When abundance comes, urgency becomes dangerous. Hasty decisions cost more when resources are larger. Silence slows you down just enough to choose correctly. Chosen one. I need you to understand this truth with clarity. Wealth magnifies momentum. Whatever direction you are moving in, when it arrives, it will accelerate. If you are grounded, you become freer. If you are scattered, you become overwhelmed. This is why God often quiets your environment before increase. He is not withholding, He is aligning. There will be moments where you feel an unfamiliar discomfort. Not pain, but unease. The discomfort of outgrowing old habits. The discomfort of not reacting the way you used to. The discomfort of realizing that certain conversations no longer fit your frequency. Silence helps you sit with that discomfort instead of escaping it through spending distraction or explanation. I remember when I first realized that having more options did not automatically bring peace. In fact, it brought more decisions, more responsibility, more awareness. What preserved my sanity was learning when not to speak, when not to respond, when not to move immediately. Silence created space between stimulus and response. That space is where wisdom lives. Chosen one. Wealth also forces you to confront your relationship with control. When you had little control, felt impossible. When you have more control, feels tempting. You may feel the urge to fix everything at once, to secure every outcome, to eliminate every risk. But control is an illusion. Silence teaches trust. It reminds you that provision does not come from your micromanagement, but from alignment. There is a reason Scripture speaks about rest so often. Rest is not inactivity. It is confidence in God's order. Silence is a form of rest. It tells your spirit that you do not need to defend yourself, announce yourself, or rush to prove anything. The work has already been done in the unseen. Chosen. One another shift happens in how you view time. When money was scarce, time felt like an enemy. Every delay felt threatening. But when resources expand, time becomes your ally. Silence allows you to reclaim it, to think long-term, to plan with patience instead of pressure. The wealthy who remain free are not those who move fastest, but those who move wisely. There will be people who misunderstand your quietness. They may interpret it as distance, arrogance, or secrecy. Let them. Understanding is not required for obedience. You are not called to manage perceptions. You are called to steward what is coming. Silence frees you from the burden of being interpreted correctly by everyone. Chosen one. There is also a deeper healing that happens in this season. For years you were invisible. Your ideas went unnoticed. Your effort went unacknowledged. When wealth approaches, there can be a temptation to finally be seen, to finally matter. But if you seek visibility to heal old wounds, money will only reopen them. Silence gives those wounds time to close properly. I had to face this myself. There were moments when recognition felt like oxygen, when I wanted acknowledgement more than alignment. But every time I chased visibility, peace slipped further away. It was only when I chose to be content without applause that stability arrived. Wealth is safest in the hands of someone who no longer needs it to feel valuable. Chosen one. You are being prepared for a different kind of power. Not loud power, quiet authority. The kind that does not need to enter a room announcing itself. The kind that shifts environment simply by presence. That authority is cultivated in silence. It is refined in restraint. Another truth you must hear is this: not every opportunity that appears during this season is meant to be taken. When wealth approaches, opportunities multiply. Investments, partnerships, offers. Some are aligned, many are distractions. Silence helps you discern which is which. It gives you time to sense whether something carries peace or pressure. Pressure often masquerades as urgency. Act now. Don't miss this. This won't come again. Wisdom rarely speaks that way. Alignment feels steady, not frantic. Silence allows you to recognize the difference. It protects you from saying yes to things that look profitable but pull you away from your assignment. Chosen one. There is also the matter of legacy. Wealth is not just about what you enjoy now, but what you establish for later. Impulsive decisions may feel good in the moment, but they weaken foundations. Silence invites you to think beyond yourself, to consider impact instead of indulgence, to build structures that last. I want to speak to the part of you that is tired of struggling, tired of waiting, tired of being strong without results. Hear this: rest is not delay. Silence is not stagnation. This quiet is evidence that the ground is being prepared. Seeds are taking root. Growth is happening underground. Chosen one, your past trained you to survive noise. Your future requires you to master stillness. The world will always be loud. Opinions will always exist. But your life does not have to be reactive. Wealth will not save you from chaos if you carry chaos within. Silence helps you release it. There will come a moment when you realize you no longer need to respond to everything. Not every comment deserves attention. Not every question deserves an answer. Not every invitation deserves acceptance. That realization is freedom. It is also maturity. Chosen one. You are not becoming distant. You are becoming intentional. You are not hiding. You are preparing. This season is teaching you how to carry weight without strain, how to move with clarity instead of impulse, how to remain rooted while everything around you accelerates. What is coming to you will require composure. It will require patience. It will require discernment. And silence will continue to be your ally. Not because you are afraid of what others think, but because you understand the value of what you are carrying. Stay still when needed. Speak only when aligned. Let your life unfold without constant commentary. Wealth does not need your announcement. It needs your stewardship, and silence will help you carry it well. Chosen one, as wealth draws nearer another, truth rises to the surface, one that challenges the way you have learned to measure success. Until now, life trained you to respond, to react, to prove. You were shaped by environments that demanded explanation. If something went wrong, you had to justify yourself. If something went right, you had to defend it. Silence was not an option then. But in this season, silence becomes your declaration. There is a maturity that comes when you stop trying to be understood by everyone. Understanding is not alignment. Many people will never understand your path because they were never meant to walk it. Wealth does not change this. In fact, it makes it more visible. The more you elevate, the smaller some conversations will feel. Silence saves you from shrinking yourself to fit spaces that no longer match your growth. Chosen one. I want you to notice something subtle. As your capacity expands, your emotional reactions will be tested. Old triggers will try to resurface. Comments that once wounded you will try to regain power. People may bring up your past, your mistakes, your seasons of lack. Not because they are cruel, but because they are uncomfortable with your evolution. Silence disarms those attempts. It denies them the reaction they seek. I remember the moment I realized that responding to everything kept me tied to versions of myself I had already outgrown. Every explanation pulled me backward. Every defense drained energy that could have been invested forward. Silence at first felt unnatural. It felt like surrender. But over time I saw its power. My absence from unnecessary debates created room for clarity, peace, and progress. Chosen one. Wealth invites you to redefine generosity. True generosity is not impulsive. It is intentional. It is not driven by emotion, guilt, or nostalgia. It is guided by wisdom. Silence helps you discern when to give, how to give, and why you are giving. It protects you from becoming a source of dependency instead of empowerment. There will be moments when people appeal to your compassion with stories that sound familiar, struggles that mirror your past, needs that awaken old empathy. This is where silence becomes essential, not to harden your heart, but to consult wisdom before acting. Helping without discernment often creates cycles instead of solutions. Silence gives you time to listen beyond words. Chosen. One another shift happens in how you view validation. For a long time, external approval mattered because it was scarce. Praise felt rare. Recognition felt earned. As wealth approaches, validation will increase, but it will be mixed with expectation. Compliments may carry hidden agendas. Admiration may come with access requests. Silence protects you from confusing flattery with truth. There is a dangerous belief that money will finally make you heard, that it will finally give weight to your voice. But the truth is, your voice already carries weight. Wealth simply reveals it. If you rely on money to validate your worth, you give it power it was never meant to hold. Silence helps you detach your identity from outcomes. Chosen one. I want to speak to the version of you that still remembers being invisible. That memory can quietly influence your choices if you are not aware. You may feel tempted to overshare, overgive, over-explain, simply because you once had nothing. Silence helps you heal that part of yourself without compensating for it. There is a peace that comes when you no longer feel responsible for other people's reactions to your growth. Silence releases you from that responsibility. It reminds you that your assignment is not to manage emotions, but to steward alignment. You cannot carry wealth well if you are constantly managing everyone else's comfort. Chosen one wealth also invites you to simplify. Complexity drains energy. Excess drains focus. Silence naturally leads to clarity. You begin to see what is essential and what is noise. You become less interested in accumulation and more interested in stability. That shift is not boredom, it is wisdom maturing. I noticed that the quieter I became, the more intentional my choices were. I stopped chasing things that looked impressive but felt empty. I stopped measuring success by visibility. I started measuring it by peace. That recalibration changed everything. Wealth became a tool instead of a temptation. Chosen one, there is also a lesson about patience embedded in this season. You will be tempted to move quickly because you can, to solve problems instantly, to eliminate discomfort with spending. But not every discomfort is meant to be removed. Some are signals guiding you toward growth. Silence helps you listen to those signals instead of silencing them with convenience. Another truth you must embrace is this: you cannot save everyone, and you are not meant to. Wealth will bring opportunities to intervene, to assist, to rescue. But wisdom asks a deeper question: is this aligned with my purpose, or is it driven by obligation? Silence helps you answer honestly. Chosen one. Your life is entering a phase where presence matters more than performance, where consistency matters more than intensity, where quiet discipline outlasts dramatic gestures. Silence supports that rhythm. It keeps you grounded when everything around you accelerates. You may also notice that your circle begins to shrink naturally, not because you are rejecting people, but because alignment filters relationships. Silence allows that process to happen without force. You stop announcing boundaries, you simply live them. Those who belong will adjust, those who do not will drift. There is strength in that simplicity. You no longer need to convince anyone of who you are becoming. Your life will demonstrate it over time. Wealth amplifies patterns. If your pattern is calm, clarity, and consistency, that is what will grow. Chosen one. Let me say this clearly: you are not becoming cold. You are becoming clear. You are not withdrawing from love. You are protecting purpose. Silence is not a wall. It is a gate. It determines what enters and what stays out. As wealth approaches, your ability to remain composed will matter more than your ability to earn. Money flows easily to disciplined minds, but it stays longest with steady spirits. Silence steadies you. It reduces internal friction. It aligns your actions with your values. You will reach a point where you realize that not everything deserves a response. Not every opportunity deserves attention. Not every relationship deserves access. That realization is not arrogance. It is stewardship. Chosen one. What is being built in your life is meant to last. It requires patience, discernment, and restraint. Silence strengthens all three. It keeps you from rushing into decisions that feel urgent but lack peace. It helps you listen for guidance beyond logic. You were trained in adversity. You learned endurance, humility, and awareness. Those qualities will now protect you in abundance. Silence will ensure that the lessons you paid for with struggle are not lost when ease arrives. Remain grounded, remain observant, remain intentional. Let your actions speak. Let your peace speak. Let your life speak. Wealth will follow alignment, not announcement, and silence will continue to be one of your greatest protections. Chosen one, as this message settles deeper into your spirit, I want you to recognize where you are standing right now. You are no longer in the season of asking if it will happen. You are in the season of preparation for how it will be carried. That is a different posture entirely. Hope waits. Preparation listens, and silence sharpens that listening. There comes a moment when heaven begins to trust you with restraint, not because you lack opportunity, but because you have learned discipline. Many people pray for wealth, but few are trained to hold it without letting it distort their identity. You have been trained quietly through delay, through obscurity, through seasons where nothing made sense. That training was not punishment. It was protection. Chosen one. You must understand that wealth does not only move money, it moves power dynamics. It changes how people speak to you, how they look at you, how they approach you. Some will grow distant out of insecurity. Others will grow closer out of interest. Silence allows you to navigate those shifts without becoming reactive or suspicious. It keeps you centered when the environment around you begins to change. I want you to remember how it felt when you had no leverage, when your words carried no weight, when your ideas were dismissed, when your effort went unnoticed. That memory is not meant to wound you anymore. It is meant to keep you humble and aware. Silence honors that memory without letting it control you. You no longer need to prove that season is over. Your life will show it in time.